Thank you so much, Your Excellencies, and thank you for sharing the great inspiration from your advisor with us here in this public. Now it is my pleasure to invite His Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, to share comment and reaction to the question and discussion we had so far. Over to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, may I say I wish to recognize you in your individual capacities as well as in your collective capacities. Today is the World Children's Day commemoration. I wish to thank His Excellency President Eric Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, for creating this opportunity where the four countries who almost share a border to each other to assemble together and share our views and policies in relation to how we handle the question of the generations who come after us. But most importantly, I'm happy that this occasion gives opportunity to us leaders to hear from the children themselves, expressing themselves, their aspirations, their needs, and what they expect from us. But before I go into detail, I would also wish to say the children themselves, besides wishing to want us to do things for them, we also as leaders we have expectations of what we expect from you. Now, our education systems in the respective countries, it is necessary, in my view, that we begin to address the issues of capacitating our children and young persons from primary, secondary, and higher institutions of higher learning. We need to create an environment where you can excel. We need to create an environment where those who have talents can excel. I would like to inform you that 60 or 70 years ago, when we were like you, we aspired to be teachers or clerks, and our sisters aspired to be nurses. And during that time, when we graduated, we were so proud to speak English. You would have a master's degree, a PhD, but you were not able to produce fish and chips. So our education was structured not to make us think about how to create products and services, to modernize and industrialize our countries. But today, this has changed, and the burden is now on you. It is critically important, in my view, that we structure an environment where your views find channel into policy formulation as well as policy implementation. How do we do this? I'll give examples in Zimbabwe. Under the current republic, we have introduced three things. One, we have introduced a youth bank for the young. We have introduced a women's bank for women, where the issue of collateral is insignificant or non-existent. We have mentioned the young panelists here that they would want to access technology, computer experience at primary, secondary as they go up. That again, in Zimbabwe, we implement the view that every primary school should have a computer library up the ladder to secondary school. The limitation is to the extent and vision we have. It only has to be backed by resources. Going up, we're now our third year. I've implemented what we call innovation hubs at all institutions of higher learning. And I put a fund at every institution of higher learning and universities. I put money there and I build these innovation hubs. And beyond the innovation hub, we build industrial. If you have any idea in your mind, which you conceive in your mind, and you want that idea to translate into a product or a service, here is the money. Here is the innovation hub. You will be facilitated and you will be funded. And once your idea is translated into something concrete, we move you to an industrial park where now your idea or your product can now go for intellectual property registration as well as commercialization. And we fund the full value chain. And this is put before the young boys and girls to express themselves, to show their talents. But still, this is what we think we should do for you. But today's meeting, this interaction, informs us as leaders what you think we should do for you. As I was listening to the presentation by the young panelists here, I realized that they focus on what they would want their governments and the institutions or their communities do for them. None has applied themselves at what they think they should do for us to be able to do for them. One, discipline. Two, respect of your parents, respect of your teachers, lecturers, and professors. Three, to abstain from drugs and the wayward living. That is what we would want our children to be. You, the young children, and the young girls and boys, young men and women, who tomorrow are going to be the leaders of these countries, these communities. You are talking about it. During our time, of course, some of the presidents are young, but perhaps myself and Genko, during our time, we never talked about these things. We never talked about these things. So I'm really thrilled and impressed, but more so that President Masisi thought he should assemble us and discuss about these issues. One of the panelists dwelt at some time on the issue of the disabled. Let me assure you, in my government, I have a director in the office of the president who is responsible for disability issues. And in every single ministry in my country, we have a youth desk. Unfortunately, we don't call it a children's desk. We call it a youth desk. I don't know whether you'd want us to change the name, but we have a youth desk where we think we can gather what the youth want, what the young people want in terms of enriching our policies in dealing with the issues of our children. Indeed, I have no doubt every single head of state would want to leave behind a society that is focused, a society. We teach you digital technology at this stage as early as possible. I thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for sharing your guidance, your wisdom, but for sharing also the concrete action you are taking in your country. Now it's my pleasure to invite His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, to share his comment and reflection on the ongoing conversation. Excellency, over to you.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think it's in order for me to recognize and appreciate President Masisi for the initiative working with the UNICEF on this day, World Children's Day commemoration. President Masisi, thank you very much for your innovative idea. I also wish to thank the other presidents, President Gaingop for being here from Namibia, and also, of course, my next door neighbor. You are all my next door neighbors, actually. President Mnangagwa, and obviously the young people and those that are able to be present here. But returning to the young people to thank these young panelists. Looking at their presentation, the issues they've raised, it clearly indicates that our countries, individual countries, and our region has a lot of skill, a lot of talent that we need to harness so that talent can work for our populations in our countries, in our region, on our continent, Africa, and the world at large. President Masisi and the indicate that the issues of the children, the issues of the young people, are fundamentally the issues of society. They are challenges of society. They are our issues. So I want to make that point loud and clear. And I think as I make my little contributions and suggestions, my contributions should be seen in the context of that these are our issues. They are not children's issues. They are not the youth issues. They are integral to who we are. Because that's what society is. That's how society regenerates itself. Because the children are produced by the elders. And the children eventually will produce their own children. And so, very important. For me to make a meaningful contribution, I thought I should simply indicate that it is critical that we who are in leadership work with our children, our young, to resolve these our issues. And I choose to indicate, moderator, that the issues of the children, issues of society, for us to be, I believe we need to step back a little bit to look at the child from the early days, the beginnings. So we are saying, as leaders, it is important that we invest in a word, figuratively, but more important in a philosophical way, to improve the mortality rate, infant mortality rate. If you like, to lower the infant mortality rate so that we have more of our children having higher chances of surviving when they are at that early stage, but obviously having taken care of the mother. And I think it's also important that we invest in the protection of these young people when they are still fragile. And in this case, I'm talking about us in leadership, governments, together with the young people. I agree with you that you are leaders already. We are leaders together. We actually enforce the rule of law, because a lot of abuses that take place in society, a number of them actually start at the family level. The abuse of children starts at the family level. I think we need to be alert to that. And I want to agree with our fellow leaders, the young leaders, that it's important that we are conscious, you are not shy to report abuses that could be taking place in the families, at school, in other public places. I think it's important that we open up our societies in that manner, and that there is no sort of gagging, and that's where the media comes in here, moderator, that the media must be versatile to be able to encourage young people and the parents, including those that live with disabilities, who sometimes get abused and they suffer in silence. I think it's important that we do things like that. On the health side, I think it's important that children just don't get the medicinal side of health, but the nutritional side of health, in my view, is very important. That's why we must get our economies to be vibrant. We must get our economies to take care of families, broader families, especially the families that are less privileged in our communities. And President Masisa and my colleagues, presidents, my seniors, I'm the most junior president on this panel. So I am saying that I think the health aspect, we ought to see it in a broader way. I'm sure you are already doing that in your country, so we're happy to learn from yourselves so that we avoid reinventing the wheel, but really to take care of ourselves, taking care of. And I was born not in a maternity wing of any facility, but right in the heart, grass-thatched house. And we understand now as a leadership in this country that we need to extend health services into the rural areas. And President Masisa, I heard you talk about some of the IT things you want to do for the rural areas. I want to agree with you, President, and I want to agree with my fellow leaders here, the young leaders, that let's work together to improve the livelihoods of our people at that early age. But given the climate change challenges we have, I think off-grid energy becomes extremely important. Green energy, solar energy becomes extremely important, and because there's recognition that the climatic change, the damage has largely been done by the first world, so to say, the more developed one. But we cannot apportion blame. We have to take responsibility ourselves at our level while we seek for support. And I want to encourage the young leaders here that listening to the young people at the COP26 in Glasgow, you have a lot of friends globally, which you must improve your networking, and we should assist. We will assist you to increase that networking so that you can tap into what your fellow young colleagues are doing out there. I mean, it was incredible to watch young people being able to provide platforms for these young people to improve in the manner they've exhibited their skills today. So we encourage you to continue. My own Yande here, you made a very good presentation there. I heard you, my ears work, our ears work. Definitely the issues of child court bill are absolutely agreed. And I think when we reach home, we get back home, let's work together let's see what we need to do to accelerate bringing this code into place. Not just a bill, but government now has some reasonable, very comfortable control of Parliament. So it's easy for us to pass bills. We will pass that bill. So I want to commit to yourself. Yeah. I must also indicate here that presidents, in response proactively to the issues of the children, this our World Children's Day, I had for us our true management institutional arrangements to take care of the needs of society, the needs of the children, including setting up a dedicated ministry of small, medium enterprises that will focus on how to nurse, as President Mnangagwa said, to nurse the interest, the capability of young people, the youth, at that early stage. Dedicated ministry for them. But we haven't just ended there. We've also taken resources from January, something that has never been done before in our country, to take a substantial amount of money from the central government. We have increased constituent support by well over 1,000%, such that these resources will now match the needs of young people at that early stage. Maternal, as we said, but also antenatal care, plus infant mortality issues, health, education support for the young people. And the decisions will be made, Yande, at a local level, so that the central government doesn't claim to have more knowledge of what the young people and the mothers and other members of society need at that local level. Never done before in our country. And we're determined to make things work so we don't reinvent the wheel. I dare say that it is true that education alone is not enough. Appropriate education alone is not enough. Appropriate curricula alone is not enough. Yes, we'll do those, because those are basics. But I'm looking at a situation that we can engage with you young people as colleagues in leadership, such that we are able to offer opportunities, business opportunities, jobs, but not jobs just to report in the office, but innovative related jobs as well. Because your minds are stronger than the value of children is not just in creating the pool of resources that are required to run our economies, to run our social services well, but of course it's that pool of leadership. But we would like to see a better quality pool of leadership so that we can enhance openness, equity, opportunity to our children, but also when you take over the roles that we have, you can also carry on the tradition of openness, inclusion, not exclusions, right? Opportunity, not marginalization for all our people across our countries. So, moderator, I thought that would be the correct way of responding to, we have secured our future as individual countries, as a region, as Africa, and the continent. There's no question about that. In my mind, there's no question about that. President Masisi, I sit here, President Mnangagwa, President Gengo, as a boy who went to the city first time to go to the University of Zambia, straight from the village. And the only reason that I'm sitting in this chair is because I was given an opportunity to basically inherit the best asset, education. And we intend to give that to all our children in our country. That's why we've introduced now education for all of the children, even from poorer families, those who are from disadvantaged families, living with disabilities. Since Kaunda's time, Super Kenya's time, President Mnangagwa will remember that, President Gengo will remember that. We've gone back to those days. Some of our competitors thought it was impossible. We have done it in the first year because we love our children, we love our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Excellency, for the word you just shared with us, reminding how the life cycle approach is important. Those are words that resonate among all of us here who dedicate our life to the well-being of children. But most importantly, your last word, I'm saying that investing in children is investing in the future of our continent. Thank you so much for those wisdom. Your Excellencies, Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, I think as we draw to the close of our panel, and given the time now it's getting dark, it is really difficult for me to attempt to summarize such a rich discussion and conversation that we just have. I know there are many takeaways from the aspiration that the children and the youth have expressed, but there are also many takeaways from each and every of your reaction, Your Excellencies. General Director of Unicef, as a father, but also as a son of this continent, I would like to express my pride of being part of this memorable ceremony of celebration of the World Children's Day. You said, Your Excellency, I think this is the first time in history we have seen 4 heads of state sitting hours, discussing, engaging, interacting with young people, expressing their views and expressing their policy, and more than ever than our continent or bright future lie ahead of us in this continent. Seeing this passion coming from young people, this motivation, but seeing also your commitment and your dedication tells me that challenge that lies ahead of us might be many, or as we say, the climb we need might be very steep, but I'm hopeful that we will get there. And that hope is symbolized by the fact that you have accepted this, even which is the first in the